Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whatever time it is for you, I'm Cyclone. It's time for more Let's Play Train Simulator Classic. Today's second scenario on the M3 on Long Island Railroad. I also closed some stuff on my computer, so hopefully that helps with any performance issues as well. I found some maps running that might or might not have been instantly affecting my play here, but given how much RAM this game uses, probably on the not side, but we'll see how it works today. Mainline maintenance, we're going to take train number 7700. This is a weekend train, by the way. All weekend trains have numbers over 5,000 in general. So take train number 7700 as far as Mineola on a cold February morning during construction works on the Long Island Railroad mainline. Let's get started. Good morning, engineer. It's another sunny spring Sunday afternoon on the Long Island Railroad, and once again, work on the mainline has forced a shutdown of the line from Mineola to Hicksville. This time it is the Cherry Lane Bridge that is getting replaced to make way for a larger structure capable of accommodating the LIRR's third track project on the main line. The train you are about to operate would usually be Huntington bound, but will instead terminate in Mineola to spin in East Williston to head back west to Penn Station. That's a bit of a weird setup here. So yeah, it's going to be terminating in Mineola. It's gonna turn around via East Williston, I guess, and it's gonna head back to Penn that way. So maybe this is running the East Williston service that we did in Snow Patrol. I don't know what time it is right now, but I thought that service was like 7 in the morning. So maybe it's something else. Maybe it's different because of the closure. Maybe they're just services from East Williston that normally wouldn't be there. I don't know, but I have seen closure schedules before. They can be complex. I've seen New York Penn to Hicksville via Babylon. Figure that one out. Let's get started. So we're going to hit Z. We're going to turn everything on. We're going to move the brakes down to... I don't have anything to do here, do I? Oh, pick up... Well, let's start by picking up passengers, shall we? That's a good idea. That's a good... Don't go... I'm in neutral, thank goodness, so I'm not moving. No, I'm not... No, I'm actually... Never mind. I should be going forward. This is correct. I am not at New York Penn yet. I cannot pick up passengers. That would make perfect sense, would it not? Yes, I'm off to a great start. Let's go. So we're in Woodside Yard. If you don't know where that is, quick peek at the map. That's New York Penn. Here's Woodside Yard. That's where we're starting. We actually come outside as we approach the end of Woodside Yard. But it does seem to count as a tunnel area. I can't necessarily get you a good view of the train while we're there. But I think these tunnels you can actually, in some cases, actually get a look at the train even before you get to the station. I don't think I'm in that area yet. Gonna make sure we don't speed here. We are on a 2.8% downhill, which is a very strong downhill gradient. We give ourselves plenty of room to slow down as we need it here. You need to hear those brakes a lot today, guys. Yeah! Let's make sure we don't blow this here. Yep, we're going to do it again. That almost hit 16. Yeah, let's just make sure we pull it back a little just to be safe. We're on flat ground now. The back of our train is not. So it's literally being pushed down the hill. We have to be very careful with this. Such as Woodside Yard. Or Westside Yard. If I did call it Woodside Yard before, that was an error. It is Westside Yard. So we are clear on a restricting signal here, I believe. Or it might have actually been the other one. I might tooltip that if I'm wrong. Might be like a slow approach or something. So we're coming up to the platform now. We're going to go ahead and get the brakes down a little bit here again because we were gaining. Our pickup time is in 1 minute. The hill section has now eased. We're now off the hill, it looks like, on the orange marker. So we're pulling into platform... Well, I should say track 16. It's not platform 16, it's track 16. We're going to be making our stop here to pick up passengers in just a moment. And you're walking a little too close to the track, buddy. A little too close. Let's not have that. I don't want to kill anyone today, thank you. Thank you very much. And you might be wondering why it's so quiet here. Well, again, we have performance issues on the Long Island Railroad. The comment I made at the end of the last scenario, I actually did some poking around. It turns out performance issues are why Jamaica is very quiet. I'm hopeful that the new core enhancements that have been proposed will allow us to have very, very busy platforms at this station. I should not be going into the junction track. That's a bad idea. I should not be in the junction track. Let's take a quick peek here as I open the doors. This is actually something I should not be doing. I'm in the junction track right now. So now any train on 17 who might be allowed ahead of us would actually crash into us. That's not a good move. But anyway, I am at track number 16 making my stop. We'll be going in a moment. Leaving New York Penn, our next stop is Woodside. Stopping today on track number 4. We're going to go left or right? Let's find out. We're going left. Oh, well, the red signal over there on the other track should have been a hint to that, right? Yeah, we're going left. There's a little warning toot to let anyone who's, for some reason, stupidly wandered off the platform know that we're here and we're coming through, whether they see us or not. Get out of the way. We will run you over. Okay, we can't do that, but, you know. This is sufficient warning anyway. There shouldn't be anyone here in the game anyway. In a real-life environment, I don't necessarily trust people. Alright. Enough warnings. We're now in the tunnel. Once we're fully in the tunnel, we can go 60. And just take a quick look at the cab. It confirms we're coded for 60. So everything says 60. We just have to wait for our speed limit to actually get to 60. A little bit of downhill here. I don't like this right now. I don't have many memories of this downhill. But I already don't like it. Okay, that should be the last time I have to do that. We can speed up in a second. There we go. Let's go. So this downhill is going to be very, very nice getting down to the Manhattan Shaft Line 3, as it's called, the Manhattan Shaft. I'm leaving it on P2 because I'm increasing nicely as it is. I don't see any reason to go up to P4. I'll go to P3 right now. Okay, I'm at 50. I'm going to turn it back. I'm going to go to P1. I'm still gaining nicely, so I'm just going to coast for right now. A little bit of lag there, as you noticed. Again, performance issue. We're on a very good 1.5% downhill, so we're going to make sure we don't bust 60, and we should be good to go. Let's make sure we do not bust to 60. A little bit of brakes here to ensure that. They keep it within the 55 to 60 range. That should be good enough. You don't have to be necessarily going right at 60 the whole time. A well-designed timetable will leave a little bit of room so someone doesn't have to go at the top speed. But yet, if they still go too slow, they won't be able to make it. So I'm back to P1 now as we are off the downhill. We actually are entering an uphill segment. I'm going very, very slow rate of speed increase right now as the hill gets slightly steeper. Now is 0.89, 0.9%. And I'm holding at 59.3 and now losing speed at 59.2. So I will need to eventually put a little extra burst of speed on. I'm going to hold it for right now. We are good for the time being. We are clear signal all the way here. Hence the green over red. So we're good to go. Let's put a P2... Okay, leg will prevent it. Now we'll put a P2 application on. We're hitting a 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9% gradient. We are once again losing speed. So now I'm going to go to a P3 setting as I'm still at 58 and losing. So we're going to regain now. We're coming outside and look at the beautiful day in New York. Beautiful, beautiful day in New York. We're being coded for a 40 at this point, so we need to drop the speed. Positive stop has come into effect. So I think we're following someone. That's basically what that's saying. We're being down to 40 right now on everything. So either we're following someone or it's just getting us ready for the speed limit early. Because we should not be down to 40 yet, as far as I know. We have a red over green. So the key thing with those alerts is don't panic. It doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It just means you're being guided as to something going on up ahead that you need to respond to. The thing that can cause panic is when the alert doesn't answer on your attempt to answer it. So right now, we are now officially under a 40. That is a speed limit restriction. We are now transferring tracks, as you can see. We just got bumped back up to a 60 as we completed that transfer. And we're getting to take what I understand is a very common route to go around Woodside, going via Line 4. I remember seeing something back in June or July, whenever it was this route came out. It came out early July. I remember seeing something about how this was actually this Line 4 is actually a very common tactic to get around certain areas. So don't know the details, just I've seen something about that. And it was actually part of a YouTube video. I saw a YouTube video where actually someone was traveling on this line, which is where I learned that it was a somewhat common tactic. We're still not due at Woodside for another minute, so we're okay here. I'm not even going to go all the way up to 60. I'm just going to leave it around where we are now. Because 60 would mean we'd be there in half a minute anyway. This time we are estimated to be early. Green over red. We're still clear. Let's see how the brakes respond from a 50 as we enter the platform. Good test time right here. This is a good test. We'll see how well it works at Woodside. It'll give us an idea further down the track if we need to slow down early. We definitely need to slow down early. We're going to miss just slightly. I'm going to go to max brake. Going to be just a slight miss. I'll show you where we ended up as we open the doors and make our arrival at Woodside. leaving Woodside. Our next stop is Jamaica. And we now know 50 is too fast for coming into Woodside on a 90% brake. Good test. Still plenty of time to make your stop, just you don't get one car on the platform. That's what happens. And actually, the doors were still both on the platform. The doors could have been open where they were, but the way the game operates, those doors wouldn't open. So I couldn't show you a view from that side of the train with the doors open, unfortunately. We got what we got. It's fine. So we're actually, line speed limit is 60 right now, so we can't exceed 60. There is, however, an 80 coming up. We have a clear signal, so you can proceed at line speed up to 80 miles per hour. And if I said kilometers earlier, I meant miles. Let's just make sure that's clear. It's miles per hour on the Long Island Railroad, as with all U.S. and Canadian railroads. We're now entering the 80 limit, but we have to wait until the train is fully within the bounds of the 80 limit before we can move up to it. This is complicated by the 0.7% downhill that we're now experiencing. But now we can speed up. I've eased the throttle back a little bit here. It looks like I'm losing speed now, even on a... Well, it looks like we're entering a gradient upwards again, so we're going to need to keep a P2 for a moment. P1 will not be enough at this speed on that gradient, it looks like. Here comes Forest Hills. Forest Hills is not a stop, as you can see. It is only a waypoint. I brought up the timetable to show you. We're going to Jamaica, New Hyde Park, Merillon, and then we're going to go to Mineola, and we're going to head to East Williston for the turnaround. It is in the afternoon, so the East Williston service is, again, around, like I said early in the introduction, 7 in the morning or so. So we're not actually going to be seeing this train running from East Williston. It's just going to turn around there and head back to Mineola for a return service later. That's basically what's going to happen. The whole idea is to keep the line clear for the next train that needs to go through, and then get ourselves on the proper track for the return service. Let's make sure we do not speed. I'm down to coast setting now. And by the way, this is the first official scenario now with the addition of East Mineola here. This is Forest Hills. With the addition of East Mineola to this service, this is now the first service we've had that actually goes to East Williston in the career scenarios. You may recall, I went there in a scenario called Snow Patrol that was in the Steam Workshop. And go back and check that. That's a couple videos before this on my Long Island Railroad playlist. So go back and check that one as well. And you will definitely see a snowy day, first of all, with some changes in timetable in my schedule because there was a sudden need for a train at a platform that I wasn't supposed to go to. So a neat way to show how scenarios can be set up too, because there is no visible timetable. You can't look at your tasks in that mission. They come to you and you have to pay attention and make your stops. We're slowing down now. I'm going to be coded down further. We were being coded for a 70. That's what the bell was. We're going to get lowered further because you have a 20 coming up. So I actually should keep the brakes coming down. I'm going to do that. Because the next signal is going to code us right down to a 40 without question. So minimal brake is going to bring us down for that. We're going to be ready to go. And that'll do. We've responded to that. We're going to get coded further in a moment down to a lower speed. I'm going to start doing that now so I have some control over it. I like having control rather than rushing in and having the train decide what it wants to do. I don't even have a signal on this gantry. That gantry's the other direction. But nonetheless, there's the warning for the new speed. You're going to notice that we are being coded for 30 right now. I'm down to 23 already, so I'm doing okay. There is a 20 up ahead, so we're going to eventually be coded down to a 15 to meet the 20, I believe. We're not due Jamaica for another 2.5 minutes. You can see Jamaica is up there. Usually when a station shows up ahead like that on your zoom, as long as you maintain the current zoom, you're going to be there in about 2 minutes. That's the average way I look at it. I'm trying to bring the speed down just slightly to meet the 20 right now, but I'm going to soon be coded for a 15 anyway, so it's not going to matter. So the signal's going to code me for a 15 through Jamaica. I'm going to bring it down now to meet that. And with that, almost met. With that met, I'm going to hide the HUD and I'm going to show you the coding change coming up here. You see we're coded now for a 30. We're now going to be coded for the 15, I believe. There it is. I'm gaining speed there, so this is the little downhill pit of death that I like to call it in scenarios. The pit of death. Because this death will increase your speed as you go into it, and then you're going to come up on the other side. So you have to negotiate it properly or you lose points in scenario play easily. Very easy place to lose your perfect score after a long run the other way. Whoa, I didn't want that much break. Now the good news is you're coded for your speed limit is actually 20. So the whole thing is you're coded for a 15. If you were to go above 15, you just have the train say, "Hey, you're breaking the rules." Basically what happened there. So right now I hit 16, but I would not be marked as speeding even if I was at 16.1. The train would just say, we'll just buzzer you back down to 15. That's what would happen. So there really is no risk of actually getting speeding penalties there. It's just the train doing unpredictable things and trying to come to a stop if you don't respond to the fact that you went above 16. So I lowered my speed a little bit so I can prepare to come to a stop here. We are on time. This is not an issue in any way. I'm going to stop before the signal, I think. I think that's the proper way to do it. So there is the signal. Actually, no, you know what? I have to go past it to get the whole train in. So I'm going to go past the signal on second thought. And now I can bring the train to a stop. I think we're all in now. So arrival at Jamaica. We're going to open the doors. And we're going to see how long this takes. Leaving Jamaica. Our next stop is New Hyde Park. We're passing a junction box here for this side of Jamaica. And we are now actually under a 15 speed limit. It's no longer coded 15. It actually is 15. So we now have to be no higher than 15 at all times. There is, of course, the 80 coming up, and I should go ahead and put a little bit more speed on just to get closer to the 15. There is an uphill coming up that I know is going to drop our speed slightly, so I can handle the increase close to 15 in this particular instance. We have the same signal as we had at the platform. I think this is the one that tells us to proceed at slow speed, but again, I will tooltip that back at the platform. So the platform will have that indication for you as to the actual definition of the signal. You may have noticed I actually did do that on the previous video. I started putting tooltips on to indicate what each of the different signals was the first time it came up. And then if I misidentified a signal, I put an additional tooltip just correcting it. So I want to make sure you have the correct information. Whatever I say in this recording, that one next to us on the left, by the way, was a stop signal. I do know that one. So for sure. I think it's a slow clear for the up and down, and I know there's a restricting and a different one for the diagonal ones. I always get those two mixed up, which one is restricting. But I will make sure I put tooltips on to indicate which signal is which. I'm going to try and get in the habit of doing that for any Long Island Railroad scenarios, especially if we end up getting expansions to the Long Island Railroad to go to, who knows, Babylon, Ronkonkoma, Greenport, who knows, whatever we get, Huntington. If we get any of those expansions one day, I'm going to be playing more of this route to look at those expansions. Because to be completely honest with you, I live within a few hours of New York State that is, and another couple hours or so of New York City. So there is some interest in seeing this route. This is a neat little route. It's different than the usual U.S. route because you have these different signals. The trains are different because they operate on automatic stop. They respond to the signals, unlike the ones you see on the regular big railroads out there. So this is different. It's near me. It's unique. And I am definitely going to be doing more of this if we do see more of this in Train Simulator. And with the fact that we're getting core updates to the game, I honestly think we're going to get more of this because they have all the research data for the signals and everything. All they have to do at this point is get the proper route data and build the route. And then maybe add another train with the route. That's where a lot of the budget's going to be in the future, aside from modeling, of course, is modeling any new trains for the route. But they've got the basic positive stop data, they've got the signal response scripting, they've got all that already. They can make any train that does those mechanics. We could see an M9 on an expansion to the Long Island Railroad. And if we get that, I swear, I'm running it. I'm playing it on this channel. I guarantee you it's going to be played. Maybe at launch. For the whole network, including Jamaica. And by then, we're going to have the... we're getting a 60 up ahead, by the way. I can't tell if that's a 40 or an 80. I'm keeping the speed down just in case. No, we're good. I didn't get low enough anyway. I thought I was safe. So we can go up now. So yeah, if we get the additional part of the route, by then we're going to have the core improvements necessary, and I guarantee you in the testing they're working on this. They're looking at this, they're seeing what improvements DTG is making, and they're gonna tell DTG, I guarantee you, we're on a through track. That is Hillside. I guarantee you they're going to be playing this at some point. I just don't know when, but they're going to be playing this at some point, and they're going to be saying, hey, you know what, these improvements, they're doing a good job, or you know what, these improvements, they suck, get rid of them, or these improvements, they cause this problem, get rid of it. So they're going to most certainly be communicating with the beta testers, DTG and the beta testers, to make sure these improvements are working the way they should. They're going to be checking it, I'm sure, across multiple routes. I mean, look, I haven't played it yet because I hear it's a leggy route as well. This is Hollis. I hear that Portsmouth Direct Line all the way to Waterloo, so not the one we already played, the one to Waterloo. And I have to go back and do the 444 on the old one before I move up, by the way. But the Long Island Railroad to Waterloo, I understand, is a very performance-heavy route as well. And this came out 3 years ago. We've been dealing with a performance-heavy route for 3 years with no updates. I've been 4 years. So we've been dealing with that for years with no updates to the game to accommodate that route. And the fact that DTG is finally doing that has me thinking I might look at the Portsmouth Direct Line to Waterloo at the time that the core updates launch to public. I actually am thinking about it. There are other routes I have in mind as well. I'm not going to be doing Long Island Railroad because I will have done all these scenarios, but it is one I'm going to be testing for information. I may do an update video to show if the improvements have done that using a workshop scenario, if the improvements have done anything using one of those workshop scenarios. I might even create a scenario of my own and just wait for the improvements to try running it. Because I want to see how the improvements work around Jamaica, especially. And then, on top of that, add 6 or 7 trains doing active services in Jamaica. Or do a quick drive, which I know I did before. I believe this is Queens Village. Yeah, we're coming up to Queens right now, actually, so the track. Floral Park is next. So, I actually want to run a scenario that is performance heavy at Jamaica with 6 or 7 active trains, or just run a quick drive that has a number of trains running on it. So my update might just be turning on a quick drive and doing a short drive to show how the route runs. I may have an old, and then I'll do another one with the new to show you what the difference is. So I'll have to do it before and after the update. I'll have to keep that old one for future use. So we're going to find out if in some way, and I don't know if it's going to be next month, next month, so February, March, June. I can't do months. February, March, April, May. It could be somewhere in that range. It could be later. We don't know when those updates are going to launch. This is, we're coming, I think this is now Queens Village. I missed a station somewhere. But we're now coming up to Floral Park next. So I'm going to be very curious to see how the performance enhancements go. And I'm going to, I don't know if we're going to get a heads up before the enhancements go live, or whether we're going to be told a week in advance so I can prepare to have the content for you. So I might just have to record this first and go. It's not going to change in 3 months before the updates anyway. So I can just go ahead and record any time and we're good to go. But I want to actually show you how different it is. So quick drive is a good option for that. If I find a scenario, I'm going to probably just play it on the channel anyway, but at that time. But I want to show you the difference in performance. I might do another couple of route videos to show you the old and the new on those routes as well. New Hyde Park is coming up, so now that I'm up to 80, we're going to have to brake again. Fantastic. We are on track 2. There's Merillon, which Merillon you might remember is a stop. We have lots of time to make the stop, so I'm bringing the train down to a slow speed. I'm not going to rush this. I made a really good time coming out of Jamaica. Even though I was down to 71 at one point, I did make really good time coming from Jamaica. So we're going to make sure we make this stop and have plenty of space for the stop. I can bring it down to a slow speed and inch forward. That is perfectly fine at this point. This will do for now. A little more, please. So yeah, I want to see how this route performs. I'm going to probably grab the New Zealand route and see how the New Zealand route performs and try and do that on this channel at some point. Because I don't know how the performance will be in the main game on that. I want to look at other performance intense routes. If you know of a performance intensive route you want me to study when the updates go live, please tell me. I want to know. I'm going to try and pick out any that I can identify myself. Now we can't get the whole train in the platform here, and actually I can go forward a little more, so let's do that. We're going to keep going for a little bit, and now we're going to bring it to a stop. Platform is barely visible, but that's fine. Arrival at New Hyde Park, track number 2. Leaving New Hyde Park, our next stop is Merillon Avenue. It is the next platform, so we're not going to worry about going to line speed. We only have about 2 minutes to be there anyway. So we need to go fast enough, but not too fast, basically, is what I'm getting at. I think 50 is probably a good speed to work up to, because we know we can slow down from 50 from a little before the platform. But again, these are smaller platforms, so I'm probably going to want to slow down from about a 40. But we need to go 50 for a little while at least. We are clear, however, to line speed. That is for certain. If you want to know what that ding was, we're being coded for 70. Doesn't affect us. I'll stop at 50. I see no reason to go any faster, because we're going to be slowing down shortly anyway. We're at less than we're about a quarter of a mile away. And now we're going to get coded down anyway. There it is, down to a 40. And I was actually slowing down already anyway, so that works out perfectly. Gonna leave it where it is for a moment because I can hit the brakes from here, and now I will. Again, I have lots of time to make the stop. I'm just bringing the train down to a slow speed and inching forward. That's what I'm doing here. So getting down to 10 will let me inch forward. I got a lot of space left to cover, a lot of real estate. We have till the 32nd point in the minute anyway, so we're doing really well. And at this point, a kudos to the scenario maker because it is playing very well from a timetable perspective. I have not had to restart. I've had a good run with this so far. This is a really well done timetable. So kudos to the scenario maker for that. Maybe I don't need to use the brakes the way I am, but I did it anyway. And so arrival at Merillon Avenue, track number 2. Leaving Merillon Avenue, our next stop and final stop of the passenger service is Mineola, stopping at track number 2 before we take our upward turn to East Williston. Something I think I should point out, by the way, you saw that screenshot before I left the station. Merillon was spelled with 2 R's in the signage, but all the route markers show it as 1 R. I'm going to get back to you and find out which one is correct, so look for a tooltip later. But one of those is wrong. Either the track markers are wrong, or the sign at the station is wrong. I'm going to look into that and report back in a tooltip and note which one is actually correct. We're coded for a 40, so let's not break the rules here. We're only being coded for a 40. That's all we need anyway. That's fine. We're probably going to get dropped to a 30 in a moment anyway. Or, yeah, we are. We are being dropped to a 30. Look at that. Shush. Oh, we're being dropped to a 15. Well, that's interesting. At least you can get rid of the alarm while you're coasting and the speed is being decreased on its own. You just can't increase the speed. Now we can. So we can stop the decrease. So it's a... Whoa. So basically it's a slow slog into a Mineola, as you can see. You have to stay at 15 the whole way in. So there you go. We're required to stay where we are. I honestly should have expected that. I really should have expected that. So yeah, I'm going to check on that Merillon sign and see which one is correct. And if it turns out it's just the sign, then that's something they can update in the route itself, perhaps. When they do the updates for whatever updates they do for their core improvements. Or even before that, if they decide it's going to work and they update the route first, promising update better performance in the future. But if they need to change the sign, I will put in a bug report saying that the sign needs to be changed. We'll see if that is necessary. If it turns out it's the track markers that are wrong, well, it's too late. They can't change those now. If they do, it'll break every single scenario they have, plus scenarios in the workshop. So so track markers cannot be changed at this point. If it's the track markers that are wrong, big deal. That's not a big deal. The only thing is it'll look bad on the signage, on the timetable here. It'll say, it'll have it spelled wrong on the timetable. But unfortunately, that's a side effect. They can't deal with that now. So it's too late. So, like I said, I'll see what it looks like in the... I'll see what it looks like when I get to the map later, and I will confirm this. I could look it up live here, but I'm just going to do it after the video. I'm going to finish the drive. We're almost done. I could have paused for 5 minutes, looked up while I was at the stop, but I didn't want to do that. So even though our speed limit is 80, we're cruising into Nassau, Mineola, at a cool 15 miles per hour, as you can see. Fantastic. Oh, I thought that was the end of the platform for a second. I'm looking at the HUD and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. No, it's the shadow of a bridge. Dum-dum. We have the entire train in the platform. I'm just going to bring it to a stop wherever at this point. That's really the way to do it. And look at this. Ladies and gentlemen, arrival right on the nose. Brilliant work, engineer. We have gotten all the passengers to where they need to be. We will now take our train onwards into East Williston, where this train will turn for its run back west to Penn Station. You can see we got our 1,000 points. All we have to do is not lose them. So let's go. All passengers have deboarded the train. We have a slow clear. I'm going to leave myself at 15 because that's our current coding limit anyway. So we're not going to push ourselves here. I think we're going to stay at 15 all the way at this point. In fact, 15 is now our speed limit. We don't even have to worry about coding at this point. If we hit 16, we are caught speeding. Now, I'm not going to go looking right now down that track. Whistle. So we are now expecting to stop as of that signal. $15 remains our speed limit for now. There is a 30 coming up. I don't know if we're going to be coded for a 30, but I do expect to be stopping at East Williston anyway. So we're going to remain coded in some way for a 15. There is no timetable on the East Williston stop. So we're not going to be worrying about what happens from East Williston. Or at East Williston. What I may do is I may go back and I may grab a clip and add it in to show what if there's any bridge work up ahead. But I have a feeling that because it's not visible to us, they probably didn't bother adding anything showing the bridge work. I'm fairly sure that was not added. Because most people are not going to look up there. But it would be neat if that was added just to show some completion on it, right? It would be neat. But I guarantee you it's not there. And if it isn't there, you're not going to see anything. So we are still coded for the 15, as you can see. Nothing unusual going on here, just the way it is. There is another signal up ahead before Nassau. We are at a 30 speed limit right now. In fact, a 60 speed limit. But again, you can see the red behind the coast indicator. That means that we are coded for a 15. So I cannot exceed 15 miles per hour. And I shouldn't need to, because I'm going to be turning around anyway. I'm going to probably hop on a junction to cross to the other track at this point. So now we have a this signal. I don't remember perfectly. This might be a this could be actually the slow clear I was looking for. I don't remember exactly, but this is probably the one that's going to move us over to track 1 to prepare for the return journey. Just my best guess, assuming there is a junction track. We see one coming the other way. Maybe that's the one this train takes on the return journey. I don't know. Maybe the train leaves this platform and takes that on the return. But then I do see a junction up here, so I think we're going to be crossing this. I'm losing speed. Let's add speed. Not that it matters, but we're going to do it anyway. We're being beeped for a 30, even though we're coded for a 15. Just the way it works. We are indeed taking the track, as I predicted. And we're now going to be entering an area where there are rails in between the tracks. Awesome. Get ourselves a little closer to 15 at this point. Thank you very much. That'll do nicely. That'll do, pig. That'll do. And I hit 15, so yeah, we're going to coast now. We're just going to lose a little tiny bit of speed here. 1.0% gradient. That's the kind of gradient where you still gain speed on a P1, as you can see. at a faster rate, then you lose speed. And actually, I'm now gaining speed on a... Oh, that's not good. Let's bring the speed down. We're not going to speed into the station and lose our perfect score. Thank you very much. We're now coded for 30, so we could theoretically go above 15 anyway, but why? We're not going to. We're not going to. No reason. So obviously these signals don't have anything to do with us. They go the other way, and there's obviously going to be a stop signal over our heads here without question. So you can see the stop signal. We're coming up on East Williston. If you can see the route end is up ahead. I'm not going to go up there for realism purposes, but if we were to continue past East Williston, which would obviously fail the scenario, at a fast rate of speed, which we obviously cannot do because of the positive stop on the 15, we would be hitting a route buffer and we would be calling it a day. We can't do that. So for realism, I'm just going to stop it here at East Williston. We're going to call it a day. We could go at least a little bit further before the emergency brake for a failed scenario kicks in, but I'm not going to. You can see enough up ahead that it looks like it continues, but I think you can see the grass in the distance, so it is obviously going to be ending up ahead. And this is, by the way, a diesel route after this point, so this train can't go down... Whoa, don't do that. This train can't go down this route anyway. So because it is a diesel route, this train does not do service here. So the one service that starts here, it literally starts here. You can't go up to Oyster Bay. Only diesel trains can go up any further to Oyster Bay. So if we get a diesel train someday, maybe we'll get this extension. Who knows? In any case, East Williston, let's look at the train. It's not every day we get to see the neighborhood of East Williston. So here it is, with the front of the train in view here, and enjoy it. We have a railroad crossing that we should never have to cross unless we have a scenario starting at the other end. We're going to be getting a scenario clear message after this before I go to the menu, so I'm going to cut that out again. I did that last video as well. So this train will wait here before it begins its run back west to Penn Station. Although passengers have been inconvenienced, the work taking place will allow a higher traffic flow on the main between here and Hicksville. And by the way, there is a new station opened. It begins with an E. I can't remember the name, but that station I believe is now open on the main line. It will not be in our route. Elmont, I want to say. That sounds about right, but I could be wrong. But it is somewhere near the area where it turns off to the racetrack. It's near that area. So I think it's like the very next station coming in or something like that. So there is that new station that is open there now. There are new upgrades at Floral Park since we were talking, because I saw some construction timetables in 2022 working on the Floral Park new interlocking. So yeah, the improvements are taking place on the Long Island Railroad. And if you're a rail fan, it is something to check out if you just want to see what kind of work is going on around there, because you're going to see improvements on that route to allow for more capacity, to allow for better passenger experiences. And it really is something that, from a rail fan's perspective, is interesting to follow and see what kind of timetables are put in place. We can probably mimic the 2021-2022 timetables with closure patterns, but needless to say, the airlockers will be different on those in some cases, so we can't necessarily mimic perfectly the traffic patterns, but we can still mimic the closures and show what kind of closures happen. So just like this scenario did, we can mimic a closure and we can send our train wherever we want to send it based on whatever closure is in place that we decide to. We just have to be consistent with how we do it for that scenario, and that's really what matters. We can tell the story, and then as a player, you play the story, and that's what I'm doing here. Very nicely done scenario, and I'm going to go to the scoring screen now to show you the final result, which we already know is going to be 1,000 points. Let's take a look. And there you go. And you can see the stars are very close together, so not a lot of difference between gold, bronze, silver, and gold here. Not a lot of difference. Maybe like 50 points or 100 points. Might be 700, 800, 900 or something like that. But in any case, we got our perfect score. And you notice I didn't get the last 2 points on the final stop because I was already at 1,000. It was one of those scoring situations where there was an extra point. So I could have had a 2-point speeding penalty somewhere and still been okay. But it couldn't have been done with 1 point less per stop. I would have maxed out at 995. So that's exactly how you would see these scenarios scored. And that's it. So have a wonderful day, evening, or night, whatever it is for you, you're part of the world. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you are on the playlist, the next video will be coming up. I'm not going to do countdowns anymore like on Netflix. I decided that was kind of cumbersome to do that, especially if I didn't do one for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and just say tune in for the next video on the playlist when you see it. M303. This is an 80-minute scenario. I have not looked at it yet because I didn't want to have the look at it before coming into this. But it looks like it's going to have some shunting because we start at the yard. I think it's a hillside we start. We're supposed to go to another track somewhere. But it doesn't say anything about doing a service. I imagine we're going to have to pick up the train and then actually do a service. We might have to drive to a station, then run a full service from that station. So, I don't know yet. I'm wondering what's going to happen here, and I'm very curious. Maybe we're just doing an 80-minute shunting mission. I don't know. So, I'm very, very interested to see what happens with that scenario. And I'm going to make that my next video. It's going to be a Tuesday video. I will not do another train simulator video on Wednesday this week because I don't have another M3 scenario to go with it. But, or at least not yet anyway. But I am looking at doing another video on SimRail if you are here for my SimRail content. I might take a look at the new station that's opening up. Actually, I'm recording this on Friday, so it's actually opening up today. I haven't seen it yet. I might take a look at the new station opening up in SimRail. And maybe talk about some of the bug fixes. I might do a Wednesday video just covering that very, very quickly. So, if anything, that'll be my next look at SimRail. Then we'll find something else to do here because I don't think there's going to be much else for me to show on SimRail for the time being. I want to concentrate on getting some content out for the weekend because I know I'm going to be gone for a couple days next week. So I'm going to work on that right now. In the meantime, have a wonderful day, evening, night, whatever it is for your part of the world. And I hope to see you for the next video, M303, some shunting, and maybe more on the Long Island Railroad. See you for that. I'm Cyclone. Bye-bye.